Hey, welcome friends. Thank you for coming today. Welcome to those in the Sangha in the room, and welcome to those joining us online today. This is Journey Home Meditation's morning sit. This is a time when we're going to come together to practice some shared breathing, some contemplations, and some thoughts that we have, and to probably get into a little poetry today. So as we enter into this practice of shared space, let's welcome in silence and stillness into our minds, into our bodies. It's important that when we come to these practices in ourselves, that we give ourselves and others the opportunity to leave what's outside of this practice, And so, as we come together, just let go of anything that's taking your attention outside of your breath. I'm always amazed at how my body will come up with reasons for me to leave my focus and attention outside of my body. It'll always come up with things that I have to do at the very last minute, that'll come up with just that one more thing I wanted to address, or start to get an itch, or whatever it may be. And I recognized over the years now that this is going to happen because there is a protective measure that our mind and our bodies have from stepping into the uncomfortable. When we enter into awkward situations, our mind wants to take us somewhere else. We dissociate from the space. In the last decade or so, we've all gotten phones that are an easy exit door. We can just exit the room at any time, even sitting where we are. We can just pick up our phone and take our mind anywhere it wants to go, anywhere but here. But even without the phones, we've always had this capacity to do this. We've always had this ability to distract ourselves from what's at hand, what's present in front of us. And it's what we've practiced. We've practiced distraction for so long. We've been taught distraction for so long. And we all are familiar with the saying that practice makes perfect. Obviously, we know that perfect isn't real, but it's clear what the saying is teaching. The more you practice, the easier it is to do, the better you are at doing, the more perfect you become. And so if we can remember that this is true even for the things that we don't intend to practice, that we just do because of habit. And this is also true for the things that we don't want to be true. The more we practice negative self-talk, the more we practice reinforcing a belief that we can't heal, or we can't do something, or we can't fall in love, or we're never going to be happy. We practice these thoughts, and we practice those words, and we practice that way of believing. You get really good at that. And so this practice is just a practice of coming home. It's a practice of coming back into our bodies and finding a gentleness and a loving kindness that we may not practice in our lives regularly. So let's take a few breaths together before we begin anything else today. I'll invite the bell, and as we take these breaths, let's begin with some intentional breathing. We're going to breathe in through our nose, expanding our bellies. We want our bellies to be soft, because to tighten and harden your belly is to be defensive. It's a protective measure that we do when we feel threatened. And most of us spend most of our days walking around sucking our bellies in, whether it's because we don't like our body image, or we are experiencing insecurities, fears, anxieties from being in public spaces, or maybe we don't like how our shirt shrunk in the dryer, whatever it may be. Most of us spend most of our day holding our guts in tight. But this practice of doing that is teaching our body that we are always needing defensiveness. We're always in defense mode. We always need protection, which convinces us that there's always somebody out there trying to harm us. And while we do have harmful things that occur in this world and in this life, absolutely, recognizing when we can feel safe is important. So right now in your practice, starting to bring safety into your own body is a really good way to begin the process of coming home. So breathing in through the nose to the bottom of the belly, expanding the belly with each in-breath and contracting the body with each out-breath. Trying to not breathe into the chest directly as much, or through the mouth, because both of these ways of breathing also are indicative of a heightened sense of defensiveness. So try to practice just gentle breath in through the nose. And we'll just take a few breaths together like this, and then as the practice moves forward, you'll be able to find your own internal rhythm for breath. I'm going to invite the bell. And breathing in. And breathing out. Breathing in. And out. Breathing in. And release. Find what breath works for you. As your attention settles into the body, you may start to feel sensations or emotions moving up. This is the subtle voices that drown out when we are distracting our minds all day long. So these are the things that we carry in our body that influence every decision and every conversation and every relationship we have, but we aren't aware of them, making those influences in our lives. So the easy one that you might come up to is fear or anxiety. And I say that that's the easy one because that's the one that's most practiced in us recognizing. We know what it is to be afraid. We know what it is to have insecurity or to have anxiety. So those are the ones that are easily recognizable. But what also might be coming up might be a little bit more subtle. Because the sensations that arise in us are not always the ones that are difficult or the ones that are hard. And the ones that are difficult and hard aren't always the ones that are bad. Sometimes the difficult sensations to feel are joy, safety, relaxation, contentment. Sometimes these are the things that we have shielded ourselves from being able to experience for whatever reason. There may be an experience that has informed a belief that when I'm happy, something bad happens, so it's best to not be happy. It's just going to be disappointing in the end. Or when I'm relaxed, I get hurt, so I need to protect myself and be on guard. So those gentle feelings, those good feelings can be the most difficult and the most quiet. So finding this time to settle into our bodies is a way to begin to allow the bounty of the different feelings and emotions that we carry all the time to start to come forward. So just keep breathing and allow their body to feel what the body feels. As you relax your shoulders, relax your jaw, remove your tongue from the roof of your mouth, just let your face relax, your eyes, unfurl your eyebrows, relax your ears and the back of your head. Thanks for sharing in this practice as we move forward today. And one of the thoughts that I was having this morning when I woke was I feel pretty good. I felt pretty good. And I thought, maybe I don't need to take a few breaths this morning. I could just get up and make coffee. I don't need to stretch my body. And my body feels all right. I don't think I need to do any of those things today. And it took a moment, but I started to laugh at myself because I was thinking about, what if I treated other things that bring me health and joy the same way that I treat these practices? I feel all right now. I don't think I need to do that in this moment. What What if I did that with water? Well, I drank water yesterday, so I think I'm good today. I don't think I need to drink water today. Or, I don't want to get silly with the comparisons, but I think we understand what I'm saying is sometimes that what can happen, and this is really common with especially practices of healing or mental health or trauma work that we do, is that we start to feel good because of our practices, and then we avoid our practices. We step back into those habitual ways of being where we start to ignore the body when the body isn't screaming at us. And we start to ignore our mental health when our mental health seems to be pretty leveled. And it's like not getting gas for the car because the car's running fine right now. It doesn't need gas, but of course, we're using that fuel as we drive, and it needs to be refilled. And maybe these are really crap analogies. Probably so. But the point is, the goal of this work is not a goal. It's not this end result that you're going to get to that then you can step out of. This practice is not a practice of in 6 weeks you're going to feel this and you're going to feel this, and then when you do, you're good and you can move forward. These practices are practices of coming home. They're practices of rejoining our bodies. And it's not about fixing something that's wrong. It's about correcting a path that is not helping us. We're moving in a trajectory in our lives collectively as a culture, and probably then as individuals, that we are stepping into more and more scary and divided and unhealthy and painful experiences. And we just keep going deeper and deeper into this fear factory. And so the practice that we're doing here is a practice of just correcting the course, the gentlest nudge to bring us into a pathway that we can begin to find alignment with ourselves. It's not a practice of dogma and rules and punishments. When we are raised in a diet fad culture, we think that everything is about restricting ourselves from the things we like, and then we have cheat days where we do the things that we like, because we don't equate health to doing the things that bring us joy. We view health as this way of being that's not actually us, and that's what's driven us mad in the first place. We view our body type would be comparing our body to somebody else's body, and we can never be somebody else's body. It doesn't make sense, and we drive ourselves crazy. And we do the same thing with our mind, with our thoughts, with our emotions, and the way that we react and respond to different things in our lives. We compare ourselves to all of these unrealistic expectations, because you can't expect to be good at being anybody else. Just like nobody else is going to be good at being you. And so we create these methods and these pathways that try to take us out of being who we are. Because we think that who I am is miserable, and if I could just be someone different, I would be happier. And I had a teacher once teach that don't ever compare your insides to somebody else's outsides. And I look at social media as a really concentrated form of our social interactions, and it's clear that's what we do. I get online and I see other people's, social images, and I compare how I feel on the inside. I see pictures of all of these friends, all these people hanging out, doing these amazing things, and I'm happy for them, but then I feel inside so lonely and isolated, and then I compare that feeling of my internal feelings of loneliness and say, well, they're not lonely, they're not sad, they're not anxious. Just look at them. But it's impossible to look at someone and see that. So then I start doing my practice, and I come to a place in my practice where I actually wake up, like this morning, feeling pretty good. My body wasn't achy, and I felt like I had gotten sleep and rest. And my first thought was, oh, good. Now I don't have to be mindful. See, it's working. I'm good. I don't have to pay attention to my body today. I don't have to pay attention to my breath because I'm fine right now. And the thought just became a reminder of how easy it is to fall back into the impressions that we make on ourselves. We still think that we're not this thing. The real me doesn't care about himself, so I don't have to care about myself today because I'm doing okay. These are problems of identity crisis, really, which begins with the need to have some separate, isolated identity in the first place. But we're here, so let's work with what we got. And what I have today is Bell Hook's Appalachian Elegy. I brought it today. It was in my computer bag for the computer that I had forgotten. So we're working through all 66 parts. And the last one that we worked through is I think it was number 41. Okay. So we're on number 42 today. Heavy heart, as fallen snow bringing behind wet, damp darkness. Small dreams coming true, green coming from seeds planted long ago. Draw from this winter death courage to go on in the face of white cold. See past this all-surrounding whiteness that beyond there is hope that sorrow ends. Wow, it's always amazing to me how this daily poem aligns with whatever it is that we are working on that day. I'm going to read this one again because I've only read it just now. So, heavy heart as fallen snow bringing behind wet, damp darkness. Small dreams coming true, green coming from seeds planted long ago. Draw from this winter death courage to go on. In the face of white cold, see past this all-surrounding whiteness, that beyond there is hope, that sorrow ends. Bell Hooks is phenomenal at layers, layering, and layering. Like there's all these ways that Bell Hooks uses just a few words in each line to take us through all of these. It's almost like layers in the soil, As you dig down, the soil changes, and it tells the story of time and what has come before. And that's kind of how bell hooks writes their poems. It's these layers. And I can't help but, my mind attaches to the things that kind of feel like what we're talking about today. Small dreams coming true, green coming from seeds planted long ago. That's that feeling that comes out of us when we start to feel all right in our own body. Like, this is not a fluke. When we feel good, it's not a fluke. It's not by accident. It's because of something that we have planted, something that we have been working and feeding and watering, and that's growing in us. And it's the same for when we feel disconnected and disjointed and just plain old-fashioned terrible. This is also from seeds that have been planted long ago. And so remembering that while we are existing in this moment, this present moment, we often take ourselves deep into the past or far into the future, and we relive old pains, and we worry about future pains, and we hold on to this nostalgia for these things that are good. But when we can stop and just be present in the moment, we realize these are all seeds that were planted. I don't have to go back in my memory to that time. I can know that what happened then is becoming now. Then is becoming now, always. Draw from this winter death courage to go on in the face of white cold. I think the poet is teaching us and reminding us, you've lived through many winters in your life. We've all lived through many winters, through many dark periods, through many cold periods of hibernation and holing up, and to remember that strength, that you have it. It's innate. It's a part of who you are, and it just comes from just reaching into the next breath. Just taking the next breath. And here I am, I'm already at that breath. So we breathe in and we breathe out. And I'm already at the next breath. I'm breathing in and breathing out. And sometimes that next breath is further than we thought we were going to be when we took the last one. And just being able to recognize that I am already moving through this thing. I am already moving through it. Spring is coming. So thanks everybody for being here today. So I'm looking in the chat if you would like to share any thoughts in the room here, or have any questions. This is open time for that. Someone in the chat saying that happens, but then I remember we're never truly disconnected. So yeah, I think that's in reference to when we're talking about that loneliness or isolation, maybe, when we see people on social media and we compare our insides to their outsides. Yeah, having that remembering that we're never really disconnected, that is a practice as well. That is something that we have to keep reminding ourselves. And the thing about remembering, I really love remembering. Sometimes I love remembering something more than I love knowing it. It's like when I think about the face of someone that I love, and then I remember that face, I remember in that moment that deep love that I have for them, and that remembering of that, it's so juicy and just, it's just a lovely feeling to remember that there is love in the world. It's almost better than just walking around knowing it all the time. That's why I like reminders. That's why I like when the birds sing in the morning, because it's It's telling me to remember. Awake and remember. The sun's coming up. So thanks, friend, for reminding us to remember. Does anybody here in the room have any questions or anything that you'd like to comment on about today's practice at all? Okay. All right, friends, we are going to come to an end with our practice today. Thanks for being here. And if you are online, remember that if you're not seeing this on Substack, you can join on Substack for free. Start a free account and join on with Journey Home on there. It's a helpful tool for being able to connect with other folks that are sharing the practice as well. And it's just one small step away from being trapped in our social media feeds. And I realize that I'm participating in that trap. I'm, sprinkling crumbs onto the trap when I have all of these meditations on there. And for a long time, I didn't have them on there. But I feel like I like to be present with people, and this is an opportunity to do that. So whatever we can do today to bring these few breaths into the world, let's just do that. All right. Thanks for being here.